All right, aloha, friends. Welcome to another episode. I'm Brian Goss at Game Time with the Goss, presented by GM Sports Media, Get Recruited Websites. Hopefully, you're enjoying your day. It's an exciting time of year. It's volleyball season, and I'm joined with Jesilyn Hatch, the head coach for the Grandview Zebras, who went 33-9 last year, made an appearance in the regional semis. First off, Coach, appreciate you jumping on here for a little bit. Let's
No
start
problem.
with yesterday, season opener
Yeah.
against Alvarado, a 4A playoff team from a season ago. Final score 25-11, 27-25, and 25-20. Obviously, the first game of the year, you want to see your team come out and play well and chemistry and all that. But at the same time, it's August is sort of that time to kind of fix some things. But overall, just what are your thoughts about last night's game?
I thought we did some things really well. I always look at it as if we don't have things to fix this time of year, then we're definitely peaking too early. It's a long road ahead of everybody. So there's definitely stuff that we need to improve upon and to work on. But overall, their effort for the last week has been really, really great. And that's what I told them. I'm not expecting you to play perfectly, but I am expecting you to give perfect effort. You need to go hard all the time, and so that's I can't fault that. Last night we have some things skill wise that we need to fix and to fine tune, but otherwise I was pleased with the match. Yeah.
Some stats here: Kenzie Williamson, 26 assists, 7 digs, 3 aces, Landon Helm, 15 kills, 3 blocks. Uh, just kind of doing my previews and top players. Obviously Kenzie Williamson's in the conversation. Um, just what has it been like to coach her for the last 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. This is the fourth, and we've been spoiled. As long as she's healthy, as far as having her on the court, like she's definitely a luxury to have around. She came in as a freshman, and unfortunately, the week before we started practice, tore up her ankle, so was out for about 4 or 5 weeks. So that was an adjustment. In fact, it's someone you talked to a couple of times last year, just Jordan Myers, who ended up at Midlothian Heritage, was here. And I went, well, you're fast. Let's put you over there and let you set until Kinsey gets healthy again. So it's been a good, like I said, she's just so smooth and a smart player, really, really talented. And she's a good kid. She's just, she wants to do well. She wants to please us. She's coachable. She'll do what we ask her to do. And she's not real animated, which is good. She's pretty level. So she's, not real high, not real low. And that's good for her as a team leader to be pretty level.
Was freshman year the first time you met her or seen her on the court,
No,
or before that?
no, since I'm in the junior athletic period, she was here as a 7th and 8th grader. And actually her 8th grade year, we desperately needed a setter on our varsity that year too. I had graduated Emily Little the year before, while Kinsey was in 7th grade. And so it was kind of a year where we didn't really have someone who had a lot of experience in that position. And I was chomping at the bit to get her up to our varsity team, just because I knew even that year as an 8th grader, she could have really helped us out. So I knew she was coming. I knew what she had to offer. And so I knew she was capable of, doing it as a player. So yeah, I was kind of, aware of her for the previous 2 years and was able to watch her, lead and develop there.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, got out there to Grandview and gave her a little award for most
Yeah.
aces, and tried to serve receive some of her aces, and
It's
just
not easy.
it was I it wasn't good. It wasn't good
Yeah.
at all on my part.
It's all right. There's a lot of volleyball players who think the same thing, so it's okay.
But again, doing my preview and just looking up her stats,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, again, that freshman year was injuries and
Yeah.
the COVID shortened season. But even now, I mean, in 3+ years, or really, I mean, 2+ years, and then you
Yeah.
count this year. I mean, she should end up with 3,000 assists, 1,000 digs, and at least 400 aces. Which, I wished Max Preps or someone would keep all-time stats like
Right.
the college and pros, but I don't know if anyone, I'm sure there are, but to have those type of numbers with the assists, digs, and aces, she must be one in a few.
Yeah, and I think, what would be more accurate, especially if we have to count that 2020 fall, is to look at it as a average per set played. Because even, 2020, we only played 24 matches because we didn't have tournaments, we didn't have those things. So, and you're looking at, she probably played in 10 to 12 of them, probably fewer, because she was hurt, at the beginning of the season and missed quite a bit. So really the fact that she was able to end up with totals that she's ended up with, it's mostly the last two seasons. It's 21 and 22. So if she had had a full freshman year, but I think nowadays that would be the more accurate thing to do is, until we get out of having kids that played in that 2020 season and it's actually, kind of comparing some apples to apples. I think if you went average per set would be a better measure. But she is one in very few that I've had over my 18 years of coaching high school volleyball, of a kid that can consistently produce and consistently, she rarely has an off night. They do happen, but it's pretty rare. And she's a tough player and works hard.
Is she a kid that wants to play at the next level? Is she committed? Is she looking?
She's not looking. She decided really about a year ago, I guess, after our season ended last year. She just said, man, she had played club, since she was 8, and she's just kind of, she kind of got burned out. And she said, I'm looking forward to just being a student, and not doing volleyball year round. So she had actually committed to play for a club last winter and spring, and then just was going, I just can't do it. And I told her, as much as can be a double-edged sword, you want them to play, you want them to get more experience and exposure, but you also don't want them to be burnt out, to the point where they're dreading to come back in August. You want them to be hungry to come back in August. And so she and I talked about that. She said, I don't think I want to play at the next level. I said, then what you need to do is really look at what do you have the most fun doing now, and where are you going to go from there? And so she decided, not to play last year. She's not going to play this year. And she said it was nice to have a year where she was could have vacations that weren't planned around, club volleyball and things like that. So she's been really excited to come back this fall and summer. So that's been a good thing. It's good to have her kind of rejuvenated and excited to play for us. So
Talking with Jesilyn Hatch, Grandview volleyball coach. Your first year as head coach with Grandview was 2014. The first 6 seasons, you only had 1 year of 30 wins.
yeah.
I'm going to count 30 wins for the COVID year. I think you would easily had hit 30. But talk about sort of the transformation the last 3 seasons going. You averaged more than 30 games the last 2 years, and again, COVID. I think you would have hit 30. What's it been like these last 3 years?
Before my first year at Grandview, I was the assistant. I was coming from the Houston area. My sister lived in Frisco and just had her first child, my niece. And I thought, I don't want to be 5 hours away. And so I, late in the year, decided to resign down there. And this was a position I thought, okay, it's not, it's close enough. I can see them. It's about an hour and a half away, but it's not on top of each other either. So took the job. And the next year when I was the head coach, I was the 5th head coach in 5 years. And so the program had kind of taken a hit as far as stability, and having someone to stay and lead and to continue to make it successful. And, our youth association didn't start volleyball until 2020 was the first year they were going to do it. And then of course they couldn't really, because you couldn't get in the gym. Everybody was afraid to loan out their gym at that time. So really we've only had that for 2 years here in Grandview. And so I think it's just a testament to, of those 10, this will be my 10th season as the head coach here. And of those 10, I've had the same assistant for 8 of the 10. And she's from here in Grandview. And I've had other assistants come and go, but Angie and I really put in the work to try to make the program successful. And she's a former Zebra herself. And so she takes a lot of pride in it as well. And so just really trying to develop it year by year. And it's been a long, process. It's been a long go. But we finally have kids. We're still a softball school, but when I first got here, that's primarily what we were, was softball and basketball. And they didn't play a lot of volleyball outside of school, outside of the school season, and didn't really even find a ball or even know the game until 7th grade. So to kind of expand that and to have kids that are playing more outside of the school time and to fall in love with the sport has been something that we've just worked on for the last 10 years. And it's paying off. You know, and I think that that's something that I'm really proud of, and I know Angie's really proud of, is that we've kind of stuck that through and really worked hard. And that's not to say my other assistants haven't been helpful. It's just she's been on by my side for most of it. So you know that we've really put in the work together. So
Yeah, last 2 years, 65 wins, 2 district titles, went to the regional quarters 2 years ago, regional semis last year. Um, you know, kind of a heartbreaking
yeah.
5-7 with Central Heights. Um, just kind of take me through this year. You know, you start off with Kenzie. Obviously, she's kind of the glue to the team.
Right.
You try to replace some good hitters, especially, you know, just covering Shelby Martin
Yeah.
over the last couple of years. She was amazing. But mentioned Landon Helm will be on the outside. Maddie
Yeah.
Cooksey might be someone that contributes a lot. But
Yeah.
what's this year kind of look like?
You know, practice started off a little bit slow because not only was Shelby a big production for us as far as kills, and she passed serve, and actually all 3 seniors I graduated were basically the people that passed serve last year. So we knew, you know, November 11th when we lost last year, we went, okay, well, we've got a lot to, you know, to fill in the shoes just to make the first contact on the ball. And so we've really focused on that quite a bit because our kind of thought process is we can't pass to Kinsey, then none of the rest of it really matters. So we focused on that, and they've really stepped up and done a nice job, and really are passing well. But the big thing that we kind of lost with those 3 graduating was Shelby is a loud and a lot of personality. She's, you know, she's big as far as a personality in the room. And then Olivia and KK were very confident. They were quiet, but they were confident and they were strong out there. And so to have those 3 walk, you know, lose them to graduation was tough. And so the first couple of days of practice were really just who now needs to fill in these roles and how is this going to feel now? And they're every day they're figuring that out. It's getting better. As far as, you know, setting, honestly, Kenzie's kind of running a 6-2. We need her to attack. She's one of our best passers. She sprained her ankle and was out for a couple of weeks last year, and I was lucky enough to have a freshman setter who was pretty talented, Gracie Lawson, step in for her. She was actually a Player of the Week nominee at one point. And so she's stepping in and setting some this year and hitting some as well. So we're kind of lucky in that regard to have those 2 at the same time. Again, like you said, London Helm, Maddie Cooksey, Allie Little, Ashley Goodjohn, they're all going to be people that step in and make an effort and an impact on the front row as far as attacking. We are it's probably the fastest and best jumping team that I've ever had. Usually we're well, my players are a lot like me, a little bit slower and don't jump so high. But this year I'm like, we can build a, you know, relay team out of these kids. They're all mostly track athletes and can run. So it's nice. It's different to have kind of some kind of racehorses, you know, back there ready to go. And it's just a matter of figuring out what's the best place to put them and where we can be the most successful with them on the court. But it's a good group. And I think, you know, we have the potential to be as good, if not better than last year.
It's funny because I don't, you guys are so focused on just the game and winning. I don't think you even think about this, but I am curious. I know AJ Crisp is no longer with the Cleveland Times, but did a great job covering you guys.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
I've sort of adopted Grandview and even Blum as DFW schools.
Yeah.
But do you ever think about just being in where you guys are and just how tough it is to get kind of noticed?
It is tough. We're kind of in no man's land, you know, we're between the DFW area and Waco. We're kind of too far out for either, you know, and honestly, that's why when you say, hey, can you talk? Can you do this? I'm going to jump on it because my kids need that exposure. You know, they need that recognition. And AJ was fabulous for the Johnson County area, covering us and really just recognizing my kids, because I have been in bigger areas that, like I said, the Houston area, the East Texas area, and that wasn't always the, you know, the case. They didn't get a lot of exposure. They didn't get a lot of recognition. And so we've been very appreciative of what he does. And then, like I said, anytime you request something, you know, we're on it because these kids work hard. They're working as hard, as some of the kids that get a lot of recognition that are in a major, market kind of area, I guess, if you want to use that term. And so, but it's, we are kind of stuck out here, little town here on the interstate. So it's nice for them to get that recognition, and I want that for them. Yeah.
But I'm sure it's also nice because you're kind of away from all the
Oh,
crazy stuff. And
oh yeah, don't miss traffic, don't miss any of that stuff. There's a lot of the craziness that I grew up in Amarillo and then finished my last 2 years of high school in Austin, at Austin High. And so I've been in that bigger city area. Amarillo was really good about Lance Lannert was at the Amarillo Globe News for a long time. And he was kind of like AJ Chris, here in at the Cleveland paper. That's how he was for the Globe News for a long time. And he covered us whenever I was in high school and did a great job of it. And then we went to Austin and the coverage was a little bit less because you're in such a big city where you have a major university there. So, I've kind of felt both of those as a player and know that it's nice to get a pat on the back, but it's also, it's a lot if there's an eye on you all the time too.
last year you returned to Region 3. The year before was Region 2. Is there any difference in competition in those regions?
There is, I think, it really can be a different style sometimes, a different style of play in the Metroplex versus going towards the Houston area. It's volleyball. Obviously, it's all the same game, but it can be different pace of play and different styles sometimes. But it's pretty interesting. I think both regions, the side that we're on is pretty stacked and both on both sides, and when we were in 2 and 3, and then there's a half that maybe is a little bit weaker. I think top to bottom 3 is a little bit stronger. I think all the way through it's a little bit more solid. But 2 is, it's a battle to get to the regional tournament too. It's so strong on that one side that there's some sports that they know I'd love to be in this region because it's much easier. If you're a small school basketball, you don't want to be in Region 1. But man, they're so pretty even. It's kind of a toss.
Right.
I prefer the district we're in now, because when we were in Region 2 last, we were with a lot of the Dallas ISD and some charter schools that's not their focus, is athletics or volleyball. And so it was hard to do playoff prep and get your kids ready to face a Pilot Point or a Boyd or, anyone like that we matched up with in that first round when you've been playing less skilled teams, for 6-7 weeks. So that was always a challenge. And we had to make practices super hard just so that they would be okay going into that first round and be able to compete against schools that had been playing harder teams all the time. So I like this alignment district wise better, because it's more of a challenge each night.
And then just going into the season, competition wise, first in district, do we expect, Grandview and West going at it in district again?
I really have a hard time saying that because I don't want to sound like I'm tooting our own horn, but I do think those are going to be the 2. And you always have to watch out for Whitney and Clifton and Maypearl. You don't know what they're going to do. And a lot of these games are rivalry games, and you never know what's going to happen in those. And, Maypearl was down last year, but everybody kept telling me, you're going to be fine. Y'all are going to be fine. I'm like, you don't know. You don't know walking into those gyms sometimes when it's a big rivalry and things get heated, if you're going to be fine, whether you might be the best team that walks in the gym, but we've also been the, underdog in those situations and somehow managed to come out with a win against some of those people. So you never know what's going to happen. It's like, no, we're going to prepare every night for all of them. But I do think that's probably where it'll be, is us and West at 1 and 2, and those others, probably fighting for 3, 4, and 5.
Then I'll get you on this. Just kind of talk about the upcoming schedule, tournament wise, and when does district play start?
Tournament wise, we're going to be in Crowley this week. So we've got Kennedale and Crowley on Thursday, and then Newman Smith and Cleburne on Friday. And then we'll have a couple of, non-district matches. Probably one of the biggest on there being China Spring on September 5th. And then we'll start district with West on September 7th. I think or 8th. That's the Friday. So we'll start district then. We're going to go to the Glen Rose tournament, which is another, for 1A to 4A is probably one of the top tournaments in the state. You've got Gunner's going to be there. Bushland usually comes. Blum will be there. I saw some other names on the list that I'm drawing a blank on right now, but I mean, it's a solid tournament top to bottom. So that's going to be a tough one for us. And then we will be at the Rio Vista tournament. So we have one a little bit closer, more local to us. So we're looking forward to it. We think we've got some stuff to work on and some good things to do. And we kind of put it in chunks, like, all right, let's get through August and these preseason matches and tournaments, and then let's get to district, and then we'll focus on the playoffs when those arrive.
Yeah, going to be matching up with some coaches I know, with Coach Bruder at Crowley and Melissa at China Spring.
Yeah,
McPherson at Blum.
Yeah, there's some great coaches and good people. We just went to China Spring and played in their new arena on Saturday at our scrimmages. And Cole got to show me all her fancy stuff that they've put in there. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be real nice. So it's, but they've got a nice new facility. I think she said that before Saturday it had one practice in there. So it was brand spanking new, and it was nice to be in. But yeah, you stick around the coaching world long enough, you start to, become friends with all these people too. And your cohorts, your kind of people that you coach against all the time become friends. So
well, we're gonna have to try and get you guys to the Hawaii tournament. That's where Glen Rose is this week.
I know it's I'm a little jealous, not gonna lie. The weather is probably a little bit better than it is here. So we've got to do that at some point. We need to do something like that. But I also think, man, you have such good tournaments in this DFW area that you can go to, or in the state of Texas, that it kind of, I mean, I can see why people do it. It's beautiful. It's a great team bonding thing, all those things. But I also go, you're so much closer that you kind of, it's hard for me to justify to administrators.
All right. And you save so much money. So
yes. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So
awesome. Well, we appreciate the time, and we wish you the best of luck. We'll try to get up to some games. But thank you so much.
Thank you, and we appreciate your coverage and everything you do.
All right, that's Jesilyn Hatch, head coach for Grandview volleyball. And I'm Brian Goss with Game Time with the Goss. Thanks for joining in. Tune in next time. Be sure to subscribe and check out our website, gmsportsmedia.com. Till next time, thanks and aloha.